Hello, everyone. Welcome back to And Just Like Yap. I am Andy.
I'm Caroline.
And today we are going to be talking about a show that we have been absolutely loving. We both binged it very, very quickly. And that is Sterling Point, which is available now on Prime. And we wanted to talk today about why you should be watching this show because it's so, so good. And especially if you happen to be also a millennial woman, there are just so many things about this show that you are going to love. First and foremost, it is so reminiscent of the glory days of YA teen dramas on the WB, on the CW, ABC Family.
Remember the damn frog with the top hat dancing all over those WB ads.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime gal.
Okay, I'm gonna go on the record. I would the WB frog.
I mean, he has Riz. He had real.
He's got Riz.
He's not afraid to accessorize. Late 90s, early aughts. It was a peak time for this kind of television. And there are a lot of tie-ins. So the shows that we're talking about primarily that it was reminiscent of for us, I would say Gilmore Girls for sure. I would say the OC for sure. I would say the original Gossip Girl. And an interesting tie-in here is that Josh Schwartz and Stephanie Savage, who are the like infamous writing and producing duo who were responsible for the OC, which came out exactly almost 23 years ago. It was August of 2003. They were also responsible for the original Gossip Girl. They worked on this show. I love that it has like a group of friends, like group of like ragtag group of friends, very similar to something like the OC. And I also really love, similar to Gilmore Girls, you have two competing love interests in this love triangle, but neither of them is like obviously bad. Like I think in a lot of like rom-coms or TV shows like this, you're like, oh, come on, there's like one guy who's obviously the guy. But these two are both like soft, sweet, nice guys. One of them is just more right for Annie, which very much strikes me as like a Gilmore Girls thing. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I mean, it also, like, I think it harkens back to, like, Felicity a lot for me as well, because I think, like, Noel and Ben was, like, also a very complicated...
Yes.
She could have gone either way, and I think that it shows the, like, I think what Megan does really well with this, which I'm going to get more into in a second, is that we treat these teen characters like they're adults. We're not dumbing them down. We're meeting them where they're at. And I think that that's why it's so compelling for any age range, whether like you are millennial or Gen Z or above, because I think it's allowing us a window into these very complex characters and into a world that is so well-defined, and it allows you to know exactly like where you want to be a piece of this, much like Stars Hollow is the fifth character, much like fictional NYU is the fifth character, Dawson's Creek. Thinking about also Joey, Dawson, and Pacey as a lifelong Joey Pacey girly. I think it just really brings you into the world in the way that those shows of that time really did, and I think we've been in such a deficit for it, and I'm glad that Amazon Prime has realized we have a need there, and they're satiating that need right now.
Yes, absolutely. And other shows as well, like Off Campus, Summer I Turned Pretty. They're like really taking up the mantle of like this new era of teen drama. And yeah, the sense of place on this show, like you just want to like move to Sterling Point.
My complaint, we need 22 episodes. If we're going to be taking on the WB mantle, we could have stretched this out another 6 to 7.
Would you want them to be week to week? Would you want to wait in between? Or would you want them all dropped at once?
That'd be crazy. Yeah, I would like that. That's actually something I would like. Furious is week to week, and I'm loving it. So I would like that. Yeah.
Let us simmer. Let us simmer.
Let us wait. Build friction. That builds audience. It builds the reason why we got so into Rory, Jess, Dean, Logan was because we had to wait week to week, and you had time for those feelings to simmer, and there's like a time to let the tension build.
You had time to have recurring dreams about Milo Ventimiglia pulling up on a motorcycle and taking you away from suburban Pennsylvania.
And not anyone on this chat. Well, and then this is where Jim can insert the picture of Milo leaving the gym that Andy and I have talked about for years. Those thighs.
Those thighs. Yeah, he has been a lifelong crush of mine. But yeah, with that, Caroline, do you want to talk a little bit about Megan Park?
Absolutely. Okay, so Megan Park is the writer, creator, director of Sterling Point. I already was intimately familiar with her. She did My Old Ass and The Fallout, but where you initially knew her, she was on all 5 seasons of The Secret Life of the American Teenager, going back to the YA. When it was, I think this was when it transitioned to ABC Family. It wasn't Fox Family anymore. I don't know if you were in that, because S Club 7 had their show on Fox Family, and then it transitioned into ABC Family.
I remember that show.
Every era. Oh, yeah, Linda Blair was the landlord.
There ain't no party like an S Club party.
I saw them in concert a year ago, 2
Oh
years ago.
my God.
One of them has died and one of them is retired. So it was a little, so it's S Club 5 now. But so but Megan is from a small town in Canada. They didn't grow up with a TV. She was doing theater and things like that in this part of, I think, Ontario, and auditioned for this, got it. It was on for 5 seasons. She was also married to Tyler Hilton, who is on One Tree Hill, which we can't also discuss this show without the obvious One Tree Hill influence that is felt for Sterling Point with the kids from different dads. But she just said she never really felt connected as an actor, and was working on a project with Zoe Kazan, who actually, they just announced the trailer and the promotional images for East of Eden, which she's directing that adaptation for Netflix.
Oh, amazing.
But she told her she had been writing. She talked to her. She was like, just do it. And essentially that's what Megan did. And she started writing. She wrote a short, and then she wrote The Fallout, which was a Sundance darling, starring Jenna Ortega and Maddie Sigler, about a school shooting. And she's talked about, it's interesting how she's sort of falling into this niche of projects about the youth, and she's like, it just happens to be a world I feel like I've understood very well. But then her follow-up project was My Old Ass, which was purchased by Amazon Prime after a bidding war, starring Maisie Stella, who you may know from Nashville, half of Lennon and Maisie.
Wait a minute, Lennon and Maisie, weren't they like on the Ellen show, like singing when they were little kids? Yeah. Oh my God. Wow.
And then they were on Nashville.
I didn't put that together.
And then, and so Maisie is the voice of Goldie in the voiceovers.
Oh, no way. Okay. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So Megan's like kept the relationship with the sisters. But if you haven't seen My Old Ass, I implore you. It's one of the greatest coming of age stories. Basically, she does mushrooms and is able to see a future version of herself. And the future version is trying to get her to change what she's doing now to avoid this future grief. And she was inspired to write this series because her mother was adopted.
Oh.
And her parents had one biological child and couldn't have any more. She always felt very loved and never felt any desire to seek out her biological family. And her father also had one biological sibling and one adopted sibling. So the premise of a family with a mix of adoptive and biological children was all very close within my family. And everyone told her, she was like, I was scared because I didn't go to film school. So they told her to like, just get in front of the camera and you figure it out. And they also announced in Deadline this week her next project, which is called Die Alive, and the log line is Stepmom Needs Big Daddy, with Zoe Kravitz.
It's really cool that she is elevating a genre that she was a part of, which these shows used to be a lot more soap opera than what she is currently producing. So she's kind of taken the raw materials of what she used to work in and sort of elevated it. And like, what makes good art is stakes, and the stakes never feel higher than when you are between the ages of like 14 and 18. Like everything is high stakes when you were at that age. So it makes sense to focus in on that age range.
Look, Gen Z may never know the stress of hearing a door creak open on your desktop of your crush signing
Oh my God.
And then trying to curate your away message with the correct Jack's Mannequin song lyric, and to get their attention, for you to come back and look at that little window to see you have 3 messages from Zayn, and then you gotta like come back and they're like, and then do the little when you come back from away.
Oh man, I did my greatest work on AIM. Oh. I do remember that my screen name was Andy NFG7. NFG stood for Newfound Glory because they were my favorite band.
I was Carolina-licious, pre-Fergalicious was my screen. One of the big,
Yeah, I used to copy all of my AIM message history with someone that I had a crush on and like put it in a Word doc and then like print it out as if I was like editing a book.
Okay, you wanna know what's worse? I had a floppy disk.
Stop it.
I dragged the conversations onto a floppy disk. Yeah, we didn't know how good we had it. Just that like level of correspondence.
That's the level of internet we needed. We needed to stop right there. Let's talk about Ella Rubin. This is really her like breakout star role. She's been around for a little while already in stuff, but man, she is the anchor of this show and she is so good, and this is really a star-making turn for her.
As someone who's seen The Odyssey 3 times now, that's a face that could launch 1,000 ships.
Yeah. Oh God, she's gorgeous. Also, she played Anne Hathaway's daughter in The Idea of You a couple years ago, and she obviously looks a lot like Anne Hathaway. Also, people online have been comparing her to Rachel Weisz. She looks a lot like Rachel Weisz and a lot like Julia Roberts. She is like physically, visually reminiscent of like some of the most iconic women in Hollywood in the rom-com genre. But more than just her looks, her acting is like crazy. She is so grounded and real that she is able to switch from something that is just absolutely devastating into something that is so funny. This scene in particular where she's recalling this memory that she's not sure if it's a real memory of from when her adoptive mom was still alive. She's almost in tears. It's so emotional, and then she recovers from that very quickly to then go right into, can I touch your arm? Which I just thought was so funny. She's also so charming in all of the talk shows she's been doing. Like we are about to see her in absolutely everything.
The fact that she's not in Practical Magic 2 as Sandra Bullock's daughter is crazy to me, because that is a Sandra Bullock's daughter if I have ever seen her. The way that she runs through the forest at the end of episode 8 with that like chunky sweater with the lace underneath and the rubber boots. Yes. That is Sandra sprinting in Practical Magic. Like that is her daughter. That is like passing the torch, the rom-com torch. She's just so magnetic and relatable in a way that you want, why we love those women, that we've all talked about, Anne Hathaway, why we talked about Julia Roberts, why we talked about Sandra Bullock, that there's like a little bit of like, they're not perfect, there's a chink in the armor, there is something human to them that we're able to connect to, that you're like, wow, I feel that too. And I think that's something we've maybe not seen in this like sort of like star-making way. And we've seen other stars pop off, but like not in this way. That feels like she's your best friend. She could be your daughter. She could be the love interest. You fall in love with her.
The next thing we wanted to talk about, the use of improv in this show. A lot of the actors have in interviews mentioned how much Megan Park encouraged improv on set. And lucky for all of you, you're talking to two improvisers. So if I have any authority to talk about anything at all. The use of improv in the show is very, very obvious. The dialogue feels so lived in. It feels so real. And I was doing some digging to try and figure out which improvised parts sort of made the final cut, and based on what I was able to find from interviews with the actors and also people online, Keen Ruffalo, who plays Connor, Annie's brother, it sounds like he improvised all of the stuff that he was doing with the foam in the bathtub while he was on the phone with her.
Can we go back to Keen really fast? That's my chosen Nepo. That's my chosen Nepo. That's Mark's son. I see it, and
he's really funny. He makes a character that could be not at all charming, like incredibly charming. Yeah. Also, Annie's jacket blowing over her face when the seaplane goes away was not something that was supposed to happen, but they kept it in and rolled with it. Apparently, they just let the scene between Amelie and Keen go on, and then he started talking about love on the spectrum because he's talking to Ramona about like, you know, her issues connecting in love. And so they just kind of like let this go. And then they started chatting about this, which I just think is a really funny, specific detail to leave in. Oh my God. One of our favorite types of scenes, a girls in the bathroom scene. There's nothing better, especially drunk girls in the bathroom. Apparently there was a lot of improv used in this scene, as it should be.
That should never be scripted. Girls in the bathroom, that's lived experience. That's a sacred, and you know why Annie felt comfortable? Because it's like a closet. A bathroom is famously a water closet. So you feel safe. And those four walls, you should feel safe. Those are your daughters. Those are your sisters. That's your family. That's your mother. That's your president. That's your neighbor. Like, this is the safest place you could ever be, is women's bathroom. Unless the government is getting involved, and then that's a separate issue. That's
a separate issue, yes. Also, apparently, parts of the fight scene between Oona and Ramona were improvised. And apparently, the iconic pull... The closet aspect actually came from Ella Rubin's childhood. Ella mentioned that she always felt safe as a kid in enclosed spaces. And so they added that choice into her character. And then while they were on set that day, apparently their DP was the one who came up with Ellis pulling Ella across the floor because they were trying to just navigate for, well done.
Nobel Prize. Yeah. Nobel Prize.
But yeah, and the best part about this moment is that he pulls her in for a hug, not for a kiss. So it's not, it becomes obviously like romantically intimate, but he pulls her in and it just starts with a hug. And it's like, there's something so special and wonderful about that. But yeah, apparently this detail came up naturally. I don't know, I can't confirm if these moments were improvised, but they felt really improvised to me.
I did read they incorporated the fact that they just like braided their hair in real life. Yes! So apparently that's why they added that in.
Yes. So apparently Ella Rubin and Amelie Hoeferle, they were braiding each other's hair a lot on set. And so that's girlhood, man. But yeah, this moment felt really improvised to me, of just the way she's expressing her emotions of like, I like to think that I have everything together, but this I'm like, oh, I'm a baby.
Yeah. Well, and
so
also,
funny.
You famously have a sister, so you know
I
these
do.
Like, interactions are,
I do famously have a sister. I mean, these interactions felt really real to me, on the basis of having a sister, but also something you'll relate to on the basis of having gone to overnight camp. There's a lot about these two characters are older teenagers in a cabin, leading their own lives without the interference of parents, and like that is kind of where the magic happens as far as like coming of age, is when, you know, the people that you're like living with in enclosed space and spending all your time with are people who are actually your age, who are also figuring this shit out as well.
It's great.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the absolute best. And then it has not been explicitly stated that this line was necessarily improvised, but I believe that it was, because in an interview, Ella Rubin, she didn't want to spoil anything, but she's talking about how they used improv on set. And she's like, there's a really dramatic line that I say to Amelie that got left in, and I won't say what it is, but everyone was really surprised by it, but it felt really natural in the moment. And all of the comments underneath on TikTok are like, it has to be this line, which I think that it is. And it's really, really effective. Like, and the fact that this wasn't scripted and this just came out of her mouth, like, is like really poignant and amazing. And Ella Rubin was interviewed and said that Megan really encouraged them to improvise not just the comedic stuff. It was like they would do the scene a couple times as scripted, and then, you know, they were just trying to get the overall arc and gist of everything while still just letting the actors speak how they would normally speak, which as a rule, you're always going to get more natural dialogue that way. It really forces you to quote unquote become a character and like lose that separation. You don't really have a choice because you're trying to actually think your character's thoughts, have your character's impulses, and you're also pulling from who you really are as a person. So it's kind of an incredible tool for acting, and I'm really glad that this was encouraged on set.
I mean, it forces you to be present. Like, you have to be, like, that's why we get these moments like this, because you are so present as an actor and a performer in that moment because you're actively listening to each other.
Yes.
It's just, so it creates an intimacy to get into a world that maybe we wouldn't, you know, you can't script those moments, which I think is also, one of the amazing things, like, I think we haven't mentioned as well at this point, this is not based off of any IP. Like, it's really, like, I think that's what's amazing about this show to me as well, is that this was, like we said, it was an original idea that came from Megan, versus a lot of the other YA stuff. They're all based off of book series. So it's like, I think this allows a lot more freedom for them to be able to play with it, because there's not like a specific story we have to really stick to. You watch, I mean, I love Off Campus and I love The Summer I Turned Pretty, but I know as someone who hasn't read those books, but the people who have, they're like, oh, I'm waiting. This moment has to happen. This moment has to happen. This moment has to happen. So it's just, there's a bit more surprise of discovery we could discover with them. And that's like a very great tool.
Agreed. Fully agreed. Also, improv is very flirty naturally.
Yeah.
Which is how a lot of us got in trouble in our 20s. But improv is very flirty.
Brother.
Yeah. I know. A lot of what people are commenting on about, like, the dialogue is very natural, acting is very powerful, but also there's crazy chemistry between Annie and the romantic leads, particularly, especially Ellis, of course. And a lot of that comes from improv energy makes you flirty. You're, like you said, you're present with the person. You're, like, doing bits. You're trying to make them laugh. Like, that is what's, like, the fire that's, like, bubbling underneath these flirty moments.
And we can't be talking about flirty moments and not talk about my girls, Oona and Ramona. Because that... I'm sorry, like, yes, Annie has chemistry with those boys, but the chemistry between Oona and Ramona
is off the charts.
Like, throughout it's crazy. They go through such an arc that's, like, so devastating, and that's because the improv, like, I would love to know, like, with their fights and stuff like that, how much of that was, and there's just so much tenderness and vulnerability that was able to be explored.
Yeah.
And that was another relationship as well that maybe in, like, previous iterations of YA shows it may not have gotten the amount of depth that because it would have been like, oh, these just, like, lesbian token couple, but this got to be a really fully realized relationship.
The drama of it would have been that they're gay, not that they have other things going on that are causing drama between them. The drama would have been that they're gay. Do we have anything else in this topic we want to talk about?
If you would like to take an improv class.
Now that we've sung the praises of how good improv can make a movie, maybe get a haircut, talk to your therapist, think about, like, a small tattoo.
Get a crush.
Yeah, small tattoo, develop a crush on someone, pick a hobby, journal, I don't know, take a trip before you pay someone $300 for an improv class.
Okay, so there's another big element and piece to this show that I think I especially felt like I really needed to talk about. If you are a member of the Dead Mom Club, please let us know in the comments, because I think this was a really well done execution and very thoughtfully well done meditative process, like, on the grief in this show. But I don't know if you've noticed to this point, as we discuss the other shows that have been on Amazon Prime, it feels like a prerequisite to be on Amazon Prime. There must be a dead mom in your show. It's typically used as a tool to manipulate the audience to feel something. Versus, I think what Sterling Point has done so well, it's a story engine. So we have two very different angles that we're coming from. We have Annie, where this was her adoptive mother, that she had a little bit of a piece of her, but she didn't have her world. So she didn't feel connected to her grief in New York, which I think that is, like, was such an important establishing shot, I think, for us to see the life in New York and how sanitized it was for her wanting to go to Wharton for the business school and have that, like, world that feels very cold and removed. There's no piece of Goldie in that home. And then we come to Sterling Point, and Ramona is in the house that she lived in. There's photos of her everywhere. Gordon lived here. She's in the walls. She's in the furniture. She's in every aspect of the island. And then Ramona had all of that, but her mom died giving birth to her. She didn't even get to hold her. Like, so it's this really interesting aspect of these, like, two different women struggling with the pieces of the grief that they have at, like, 16 to 18 years old, of when you want your mom more than any other time of your life. I mean, you always want your mom. They do a really good job of humanizing the fact that of how you're trying to find your identity without having that access there, that, like, you know, you want to have your mom to go to, like, which I love that scene where Annie's talking to Ellis after she's talked to Maple, after we have the really beautiful scene about her getting her period. She doesn't remember when she got her period. She went on YouTube to find out how to put a tampon, and she didn't have her mom there to teach her all of that.
Yeah.
And I think that it's that piece of, like, if her mom had been there, would she be fixed? She also talks about in the sauna, I think, with Rory, where she's like, who is this person that I would be if she was here?
Yeah.
I think that's something, like, when you lose a parent or you lose someone important, you always, like, grieve. You also grieve this person that you never got to be.
Yeah.
And I think that that's, like, something, like, she was forced to be parentified in a way that both her and Ramona had to grow up so quickly in separate ways, because Ramona took care of herself and then Annie had to take care of her dad and her brother. So neither of them got to be children. They had to immediately, because it's like the second you lose them, it like forces you to grow up a bit.
And like to your point about the fact that like Ramona grew up like within the walls where like Goldie actually lived, like surrounded by pictures of Goldie, surrounded by stories and memories through Gordon. Their grief is very, very different. Like Ramona grew up really kind of not knowing her mother, having spent time with her, but having known her through all of these memories and through the setting and like through other people. Annie grew up, her dad tried to have Annie and Connor just skip over all of that grief. And so
1000%.
Ramona has come through having access to all of that information to inform her grief, and Annie has sort of like, without her even knowing, just kind of been avoiding it her entire life. Yeah. And so they meet each other in the same spot where they're both struggling, just coming from completely different areas. In that moment where Annie's like, I've wanted to hug you since I got here, because like you basically are mom, you are like mom's genetic material. It's just so interesting how like they've come together and sort of like between the two of them as sisters find a way to mother each other.
The reveal of the mixtape, like even that, like when we find out there's another side and we hear her talking about being pregnant with Ramona, that gave me chills. Like, because it added so much like context for them that they never would have had otherwise about her.
Yeah. Also like a really interesting twist and like a red herring of like, we find out Gordon has passed, and you sort of think that the dead person who we're going to be finding out more about is going to be Gordon. And then it turns out, like, we do find out more about Gordon, but like, it's just a very interesting twist of like, you think that like this mysterious grandpa is going to be the one that like, we're like digging into who this person is. Yeah. And then it turns out like, no, we are digging into like, into Goldie.
Yeah. And I think before I get into the scene, I think what I thought was also interesting that we explored, I didn't include a screenshot of Oona and Maple, but I think the way that we've explored the grief of not having a living parent be the parent you want them to be. Yeah. I thought that was so well done, because we see that their mother has chosen to not show up. So then also Oona has to be parentified because she's now taken on that role as Maple. And we get that beautiful period scene when they're all at camp together after Maple's gotten her period, and they have the ritual and everything. But that also shows like, there's that grief of, I do have a parent, but they're not the parent I need them to be or want them to be. And they can't be that. So I think there's so many layers of the grief of like what a parent can be to you that I think are explored in such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful way. Which then, then we'll go to the next slide.
This absolutely destroyed me. And I even texted you and was like, hey, be aware, this is like amazing, but it's a lot.
Yeah. It was funny. My therapist watched it over the weekend and we went and got into therapy, and she was like, how did you get through this? She was like, I thought about you the whole time. She was like, I don't know how you got through this. Yeah, I mean, there's like no easy way to talk about it. It's like, I think you've lost any kind of parent. It's like, to get to that point, to like think about, going from this one memory that Annie had. It's like such a beautiful scene. It's so well, like we don't need any dialogue for it. You can follow the entire, it's like the TV version of the first 5 minutes of Up.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Which I'm getting upset just thinking about.
I know. We all deserve a class action settlement for that in this. Yeah, because it does just such a great job of taking you on the journey of like, Annie's like, you know, having issues with her sister because they are like at an impasse in their relationship in this current moment as they're like figuring out their relationship to each other as sisters. And then it allows Annie to go from this one memory that she can't remember if it's real or not, because that's also a thing as well too. I think that I personally struggle with. I'm like, was that a real memory that I had, or is it one that like I made up? You don't know. But we start from that first moment, which I didn't realize this until like I was like, you know, taking some more notes. But you realize Ramona was part of this moment because her mom was pregnant with her.
Yeah. I know.
To add insult to injury. So then we go from this, we go through this like beautiful journey of Annie experiencing all of these life moments of her in high school, being pregnant, having a baby, like drinking a glass of wine with her mom, and just imagining what that could have been like. To Annie realizing she can't give up her share of the island because she wants the Sterling Point for a year, which I think is such a valid response to her grief. But also Ramona's makes sense too, because she's had to live in this world where she is only surrounded by the grief and not getting to experience her life.
Yeah.
So it's like, it makes sense to see. I like that we're getting to see the two sides of the coin of like what can be good and bad from both. But I love, and if you go to the next slide, it's like, you know, Annie wants to be girl with dead mom now. She's wanting to actually like tackle the grief head on, and Ramona needs to escape. And then it leads to that beautiful moment we talked about before. They now have to be sisters to show up for each other in this grief, like where they're really actually, we've come full circle from Ramona throwing her out of the house to now they are really family, and like really addressing the grief that comes with that as like the dead mom. It was so well done. So that's like, even though it's painful, you know, you can't replace your mom, and that this was like such a great exploration of it, and I'm like so grateful that they like did this. It was really healing in a lot of ways.
And thank you for sharing all of that. Of course, I love you. I think like the character trajectory that both of these characters take really speaks to the sheer power and weight of something like grief, because when we meet Annie in the beginning and she hasn't had access to this grief at all, the idea that she would, the year that's going to be her senior year of high school, and she goes to like, I'm assuming an elite private school in Manhattan, the fact that she would then be like, I'm just going to do my senior year of high school in Sterling Point in Muskoka, Canada.
Which is a seasonal town. So it's like, who even knows like what the schooling is like, this is the year that you're applying to college. This is the year that if you are, as someone who was a teenager, I didn't want to go to like Wharton for business, but you know, I was very, very high achieving, straight A's, had to get into a good college. Like that is the year. Senior year is the year that you're doing all of that. So the fact that like her grief has rocked her so much that she has decided like, that stuff actually isn't as important to me as I thought it was. Yeah. And the fact that Ramona, who, when we meet her at the beginning of the series, is like, I'm going to live in this cabin year round. I'm winterizing it. I am never going to leave here. This is who I am. And the grief has hit her so hard that she's like, I need, like, the healthiest thing for me would to be not to be here. Ramona's queer awakening in New York.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I got her finding out, coming head to head with a polyheel for the first time. And as I keep saying now, ethically non-monogamous, ethically not for me. So that is...
I mean, I have to imagine next season we are going to see some of that. Like, I'll be very curious to see Ramona at whatever expensive private school Annie was going to. And
I know.
So that'll be a real fish out of water circumstance. But yeah, I agree with everything you said. I feel like the way they handled this subject matter was so much more nuanced and powerful and real than
and care.
Yeah, with a lot of care.
Yeah, it's like interesting because it's also like you want to know more about Goldie. Like it's just there's so much that I think like she's her own fully realized character without her being on the screen. Yeah. And I think that is like, it's not just, I think the way that the dead mom trope can often be this like angelic, pious, sort of cherubic, virginal, sort of like beyond criticism, and Goldie, without being a character, is flawed. She has all these things we're like learning about her without her being on the screen with us. And I think that is so cool. Like, that is really cool that we have this dead like character that's like not active, and we're like learning more about her with them.
Yeah.
As we elegantly transition out of that, let me clean my glasses so I can get ready to talk about the topic I really actually am here for today. You think I'm here to talk about dead moms? Guys, I'm not. Okay, as millennial women, I'm here to tell you, we've aged out of the teen love interests. I have to say, this is the first one where I felt neutral about both of them. We've moved on to the dads, everyone. And the dads are people from familiars from our past. The first being Joe, and he is the most important one. Joe is who, spoiler alert, we initially think is Ramona's father. We find out that Gordon has made him her guardian, but then because she puts two and two together about color blindness, Stephen is actually her father. But if you are a millennial of a certain age, from 2004 to 2005, you know Jeffrey Dean Morgan from, if we want to go to the next slide, the LVAD wire incident. Where were you? Where were you when Izzy cut the LVAD wire? Because I can tell you, I was on the couch at the Boys and Girls Club eating spaghetti with other girls from my grade, and we were all yelling together. This was a formative moment in culture. If you were watching as you're playing Chasing Cars by Snow Patrol, and Izzy's walking past, and she's like, I'm actually like leaving. I cut the LVAD wire, and they're in the prom dresses. I rewatched a lot of the clips last night from this, and now if this spirals me into a Grey's Anatomy rewatch, I'm blaming you, Megan Park, because I'm rewatching the clips. I actually kind of forgot how Izzy falls in love with him.
Yeah.
But George is in the room when Izzy cuts the LVAD wire. And because famously Burke had just gotten shot, and they're like, oh, it's going to be fine because Burke is going to repair, but he's been shot. So Burke is in surgery. So now all the interns have to band together so they can't let Izzy get fired from the program. It's the coloring they put on him when he's dead, Denny, is like, that did not age well, I have to say. But this image, this is seared in my brain forever. This, like, I think about, like, I don't know, Starry Night, Mona Lisa. Izzy on the bed with Denny is probably third in that list. Like, this is Shonda Rhimes. You were in your bag when you wrote this. When this happened, this was like, I think like 20 million of us watched this at the same time. Like, Denny was impactful, like, to many of us. Yeah.
And he was hot. He was so hot and so sweet. So hot and so sweet. Yeah. Yeah. I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I know.
And then now to see him as this like cranky older guy, as Joe, that's like, you know, having this beautiful moment with Annie on the dock, like explaining to her what happened to Goldie, and like, you know, how he loved her and he wanted to keep the mixtape. It just reminds you then of also like Lorelai and Max and Luke. Like, we have like the adult plot lines are also just as layered. They get to be fully formed characters as well, that have rich three-dimensional, they're not just there to be advice conduits to the teens. Like, they have their own world.
I'm sure we're gonna see more. Like, the character of Denise is just begging for Missi Pyle. Like, she's got shades of Julie Cooper from the OC. We are just begging for something to happen with her. But I have to, like, shout out to the costumer. Like, the tattoos that they put on him, and the way they've
his tattoos.
Those are his. Oh! I mean, he's also a very flawed character as well. I mean, the adults adults in this show, the level of secrecy of the adults in this show, it's pretty toxic. But he's so hot.
It's just. That's a man. Also a certain type of man. For me, sometimes, J. Duplass is Steven. Look, we got both ends of the spectrum. He was also famously Jesse on Industry, one of our other favorite shows we have covered.
Yes.
So this also is a type of dad for me that I'm like into that. Like, he's got a spreadsheet going. We're going to the Mets opening day. He's gonna yell at you about not having your blue lights on. I'm like, okay. He's always got like, he has a glass of water for you, waiting for you, like before you go to bed, like when you're like crawling in with your book. And then in the morning, he's got like, he went to the Nespresso and he already made a latte for you. That's also hot. You can want both. I feel like, you know, in Girl Scouts, when you like cross the bridge to become a junior, you go from brownie to junior.
No, I don't know that. No, okay. I wasn't. The Girl Scouts, all the girls who did Girl Scouts were the popular girls, so I was not in Girl Scouts.
Okay, well, there's a ceremony when you go from brownie to like junior because you're like you like cross a bridge. So I feel like we've crossed the metaphorical Girl Scout bridge into adulthood by now being into the fathers. I'm happy to be here. I think there's a lot of land to cover. I'm excited to see where this is going to go for us. So more hot dads, hot older men in our future that have seen things.
Also, a couple other things that I wanted to point out that I just thought were fun. I haven't seen anybody talking about this, and maybe I've missed it. When Annie is going through the box of Gordon and Goldie's old stuff, she pulls out this purple dress, and then they don't really make a big fuss over it, but she is wearing the purple dress to the party that she throws for Ramona. So they don't make a big fuss about it. It's very, very subtle, but I didn't realize it until like rewatching to do screenshots. I'm like, oh my God, that's such a nice detail that they have her in the purple dress. And of course it fits her like a glove and she looks amazing. Another really fun detail, Maple is always reading these like adult self-help books, like where she's reading the Let Them Theory with fucking Mel Robbins. Later on, we see her reading The Body Keeps the Score, and there are a number of other ones. And I just thought this was so funny. Like, partially it speaks to the fact that, like, Maple and Oona have had to, like, grow up very quickly because their mom is very flaky and just kind of abandons them. But the scene where they go to the thrift store and they find that designer chair and the designer sunglasses, I'm like, Maple probably got these at like the local thrift store where all of the rich people who come to their vacation homes, they don't read their self-help books and then they drop them off at the thrift store, and then Maple goes in and is like, I will take that. I also love that Maple has joined the pantheon of fictional characters singing Sondheim on camera, singing songs that are like very age inappropriate, singing Send in the Clowns. I'm thrilled, Maple, you're one of us. You are a yapper. I know that you are deep down, and we love you. And I see you, Maple. I also just wanted to note, like, this show, one of the things I really loved about it, there aren't any, like, popular kids or losers, which I think was a really wise choice for the actual reality. Because I think times have changed a lot. When we were going to school, like, it felt like there were these huge divisions in sort of like the caste system of a high school. Fortunately, knock on wood, I don't think it's like that as much anymore. And it was never as harsh as like these shows made it out to be. But I think it was such a wise choice for reality of like, these are all just teenagers and they all just treat each other like fellow teenagers. Gen Z, Gen Alpha, if you're watching our channel and you're in the comments, let us know. What is it like right now? Tell us. Yeah, what is fellow youth? Tell us. What is it like to be in high school right now? Are there still people who like get off on being like popular? The other thing I just thought was super effective about the show was released during the exact period of time that it takes place. So it was like released in the very romantic part of like late summer, of like that sort of like mid-July to mid-August where this story actually takes place in is when the show was actually released. And so we're like, I don't know, you go outside and you're like, I don't know, you like feel like you're still living in the world of the show. You mean the salt air, the rust on your door? Never has there ever been anything more? Because August is this Taylor Swift? Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's August month. It's August month. But yeah, in general, we just absolutely love the show. We ate it up. I'm so excited that there's going to be another season. Yeah, and I've just really enjoyed consuming every possible detail I could about the show to prepare for this recap, and also just because it's really great, and kudos to Megan Park. Anything else you want to say? Yeah, I just want to say, like, if you're a part of like the adoptive community or like dead mom community, stuff like, and you're watching this, like we see you, and like it's just, this was like a great piece of media for you to kind of feel like a little less alone, that which you can often feel in the different aspects of your experience, like for both of those things. So
it's really great. Really grateful for that.
Yeah, I just want to like have a slumber party in this room with these two women. Like, I just
totally. Ramona would hate me though, because I need to sleep with sleep meditation, and she wouldn't be able to like. I think she would have no tolerance for like, you know, sleeping inside an F5 tornado.
I mean, I will say, as someone who has slept in a hotel room with you, I did not mind at all. But what was funny was I remember you were like, do you mind if I put on white noise? And I was like, hell no, great. Because I also sleep with earplugs. And then we like said goodnight. And then the first thing I heard was like a woman's voice, like starting a guided
Dr.
meditation.
Chelsea Jackson Roberts.
And I was like, and like my eyes popped open and I was like, Caroline said white noise. This is a whole thing before the white noise. It was fine. It was very soothing. I decided to just experience it with you. It was just really funny. You were like, okay, good night. I'm going to put on my white noise. And then it was like, slowly breathe. And I was like,
and it goes on for 30 minutes because I never know. I can't guarantee I'm going to be if I did a 10-minute one, I'm like, well, what if I don't fall asleep before the 10 minutes? So it's got to be 30. I'm a very cool, low-maintenance princess in the pea. So that's... But I don't think Ramona would enjoy that. I think that feels like something Ramona would say, like, cut the shit. You're...
No, she'd smash your phone with a hammer, for sure. If you also enjoyed this show, please let us know in the comments your thoughts, your feelings, other stuff you noticed that you thought was cool. And if you enjoyed hanging out with us, great news. You can continue to hang out with us in the wide variety of other videos we have. We just covered the DCC, Season 3 of America's Sweethearts, and the Reddit drama there. We will be coming back very soon to cover the upcoming season of Gilded Age, so look out for that. And yeah, you can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us, like I said, in the comments. Thank you for watching and listening. We love you. Goodbye.